what is the thought and the strategy behind of acquiring new companies to bring onto the JJE portfolio? Like, what do you guys look for when a company comes up or in communication? Like, what are you guys looking for that fits in with the JJE mindset?
I think we're in a way, we're opportunists.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Yeah. So like, I'll give you an example. Prudent Technologies, that was a fantastic acquisition. And, you look at it, a couple things we look at is we can tell why they're in trouble, right? Well, really there's two classifications. One is a company that's doing very well that we feel would be a good synergy for us. Another is a company that's doing very poorly, and we can identify why they're doing poorly and plug them into our structure and make them do well. And so, a couple of really good, all of the acquisitions we've done have gone well. Prudent Technologies, you looked at the market had turned on them. They had, they were making all the braces for SB Tactical, and the brace ban had come, and you could identify what was wrong. And they do machining and injection molding, and thought you look at it, you're like, well, we could put our business with dagger frames in there, rock frames, and we could identify how we could take a struggling business and make it successful. And then the other thing is we look at from a supply chain and logistics aspect, and that is like, take for instance the Toolcraft acquisition. When the market goes crazy, it's impossible to find a BCG. Yeah. And so we've been, we've struggled during several of these runs to be able to have a BCG. Sure. And it was, the market was extremely slow. We bought them during the Trump slump. It was extremely slow. We knew we could consolidate our business on them, and it was good for them because, you think about your Toolcraft, they're mainly an OEM supplier. They're still an OEM supplier. And, they during the Trump slumps, they worry, am I going to have any business during the summer times, especially, business is essentially cut off. And when we can plug our business into them, we make them more valuable, make them a better place to work, we make them much more stable. In fact, we just had we took everyone to lunch about a month or two ago for their 5-year anniversary of JJE purchasing them. And, it's great to talk to them because a lot of the same people are still there. Yep. And we've doubled the size of the company. Yep. And so we're looking for businesses that are doing really well, and we want that skill set inside of our company. Mm-hmm. We look for businesses that are not, but once plugged into our model can thrive.
The BCG market was very cyclical. The firearms industry itself can be cyclical, but they would be up and they'd be hiring, and they'd be down and they'd be riffing, and they'd be up and they'd be high. So by tying into on the staffing and the HR side, they're up. We tie it into us, and then we can grow them as we add machines.
We can keep them
so
stable.
They can get stability for the employee, stability for the company, and stability for us because we guaranteed our own supply. For sure. And that was what brought us to approaching Ray Porter about purchasing Toolcraft. Was we were in a down, but there's always an up. Yep. And we were planning for the future.
Today we're at Prudent American, a JJE company. Here we specialize in all kinds of injection molding components, from firearms industry components, automotive industry components, medical components are all done right here in beautiful Lexington, Kentucky. So come with me and let's go take a look at what's going on behind these walls. We're here at our injection molding cell at Prudent American. Right behind me is where they're making tactical foreends for a shotgun, utilizing cavity pressure monitoring to make sure that we're making a quality product every single time. The advantage of using cavity pressure monitoring is that we are able to monitor the actual part in the machine before it even comes out. This allows us to automatically sort for non-conforming parts before they even make it to our line to be finished and boxed up and sent to the main supplier. Here at Prudent American, we have 16 different types of injection molding machines. They range from 80 tons all the way up to 500 tons. This machine behind me here is making AR-15 style pistol grips. This way we can control our own quality on all the parts that we're using over here at Palmetto State Armory. On this machine behind me here, this is our 500-ton injection molding machine. We use very similar process to what we've shown you before, where it's a cavity pressure monitoring system to make AR-15 style butt stocks. Here on the machine behind me, there's also a cutting system that will cut all the excess material off the machines that will then be used and recycled to make more butt stocks. So after the parts come out of the machine, they are then put on a conveyor system. This conveyor system allows the parts to cool down. After that, they then come over to our finished assembly area where all the extra parts are put in. We then use a vision system that we go on here and we check every part to make sure it's good before it goes in the box to head on over to Palmetto State Armory. So of the 16 injection molding machines here, 2 of them are vertical. And on these vertical machines, one is making rail covers, the other one is making vertical pistol grips. Here at Prudent American, not only do we make firearm parts, but we also make a lot of parts for automotive as well as medical. On this machine right here, we're making AR-15 style carbine length handguards. After they come off the machine, they then go onto our press fixture where the heat shields are installed. In this room right here, we take our injection molded A2 style stocks that we make on the injection molding cell and bring it in here. We then take a 2-part polyurethane mixture that we then spray inside the shell and place it in the cavity to insert the foam inside your A2 stock. Here at Prudent American, similar to all of our other JJE companies, we take our quality very seriously. That's why we do a quality check periodically multiple times an hour on all of the parts that we're making on these machines. This CMM right here is gonna check for all the critical dimensions on these parts to make sure we're making a quality part 100% of the time. Not only do we check all of our parts with a CMM machine, we also use a color spectrometer to make sure that we're making the right color every single time. Here at Prudent American, before we make any new tooling or any new fixturing for any new injection molding parts, we use a process simulation software to show us any complexities or issues that we're gonna see during the injection molding process to make the correct tool from the beginning. In this room right here is our final assembly. This is where all the components that come off the machine that need an extra piece put in come into this room. Right behind me here, we are doing a final assembly on some of our components. There's also an inline quality check done here with our vision systems before they even get boxed up. Once done, they are then sent off to either Palmetto State Armory or another top manufacturer in the firearms industry. Thanks for coming along on a tour of Prudent American. We're making a ton of different injection molding parts, not only for firearm components, but also automotive and medical. So come on with us. We're gonna head on over to our next facility and see what they're making over there. Here we are at Manufacturing Partners Inc., a JJE company in Becker, Minnesota. Here we specialize in high volume firearm component production. Here at MPI, we make anything from bolts to bolt carrier groups. We make dagger barrels, a whole ton of other accessories and components. We do this by the use of robots and automation and keeping the same components running all the time. It is not uncommon to make anywhere from $30,000 to $70,000 a month in certain components out of MPI. Although MPI makes a lot of components for Palmetto State Armory, they also specialize in making components for other partners in the firearms industry. Here we are, we're here at Toolcraft Inc., a JJE company. Here they make bolt carrier groups, they make jackal components, they make AK components. All this stuff is going back to fueling Palmetto State Armory and its mission of spreading freedom. So come with me and I'll give you a behind the scenes tour of what's going on here at Toolcraft Inc. So we're here at Toolcraft Inc. One of the main components that they make here is the carriers for the bolt carrier group that go in the Palmetto State Armory AR-15s and AR-10s, as well as other OEM suppliers. And I'm gonna show you the process on how this works. The first step of that process is they have a proprietary blend of steel that comes in pre-cut to the determined length that is what we use to go on our lathe. The next step is it comes over to our lathe machines. The first pass they go through and they cut it down to a correct diameter that then is QC checked before moving on to the next lathe. The next lathe then will turn down the back half of the diameter to the correct size that goes through a QC check, and then it heads over to our milling process that I'm gonna show you next. So now we're in our main milling room where all the carriers then come from our lathe over to here. After lathe, they're ready to go. They all are marked and numbered because they went through a QC check. Now they come over to milling where now they really start looking like a BCG. They have all the machine cuts on the side, they're tapped on the top for your gas key, the cam track is cut, The next step of part of this process is gonna go over to our next milling operation where it's gonna add forward assist serrations, and then it goes to heat treat. So after our milling process is done, the next step of the process is to add the forward assist serrations into the side of the BCG. Right here, they're loading up 4 at a time, where all this machine is doing all day is making the forward assist serrations. Then it's gonna go over to our polishing step before it goes out to heat treat. So one of the main things that we take pride here at Toolcraft is our QC in check and also our pre-surface prep finish. All of these parts, after they're done off the mill and the lathe, come over to surface prep prior to heat treat. And a part of that process is after they're going through and doing the surface prep, they are getting QC checked along the way, a part of this process. That way we're ensuring that we're doing the correct surface prep, the parts are made correct before they go out to heat treat to make sure we're making a quality product every single time. After the parts get sent out to heat treat, they then come back and go through a quality check. After that quality check is done, they go through a post-heat treat machining op that will then clean up everything and bring everything back into tolerance after heat treat, and then they will go out to get surface finished again and then go out and get coated. So here we are, we're in our final assembly room. Once the parts come back from being coated, they then go through another QC check where we check to make sure all of our parts are still in tolerance and are ready to be assembled. They then come into our assembly room where Permatex is put down and then the gas key is put in with the screws installed, torqued down to spec. After this process is done, they get the bolt put in, the firing put in, the cam pin put in, and everything's assembled, put in a box, and sent over to Palmetto State Armory to be assembled into a complete gun to be sent to you. One of the other things that is being made here at Toolcraft is our jackal carriers. So the jackal carrier starts out with a pre-heat treated bar stock that is machined from this into this, which is then turned into our mills to be turned down into a jackal carrier to be put in our jackals that we're selling to you. So here we are, we're in our mills where the jackal carrier goes from this to this. This is now a finished jackal carrier that will then go through a QC check, surface prep and finish, and then off to get coated to then be assembled to be put into your jackal here at Palmetto State Armory's website. So here we are, we're at our second building here at Toolcraft. This entire building and all these CNC machines are dedicated to turning a raw AK forging into a finished AK product that is sent to Palmetto State Armory to be assembled in the Soviet Arms AKs. So here at Toolcraft, we have multiple cells that are dedicated to the AK platform. The cell that we're in right now, we're taking a raw forging and we're going through a machining process to turn a carrier into a finished process. The first operation is gonna be going through and cleaning up the bottom half of the forging and getting it ready for the second op. The second op will go through a milling process where we turn down the nose and the snout of the carrier to be then sent on to our Op 3. Op 3 then goes through and finishes off the entire forging to be a finished product that will then go to surface prep before getting sent out to getting heat treated as well as black oxide finish. We're now in our trunnion cell. This is where all of our AK trunnions start their life. They start out as a raw forging, and as part of that process, it goes down through different operations as they go down the cell life here. The second op of the cell is right here. This is where they go through, they clean up, they do your first bore, your side profile, then it goes on to the third op. The third and final op will then go through and get all the rest of the machining done, as well as the holes for the rivets, as well as a touch-up and cleanup pass. After this is done, it will then go to a surface prep before being sent out to heat treat as well as black oxide. So here we are, we're in our bolt cell. This is where we take a raw forging and it goes into our first operation, which is gonna go through and drill some preliminary holes, as well as cut down some of the outer bolt lugs. In Op 2, this is where it will go into our lathe. This is where they're gonna lay down, use the lathe to go through and make sure that the stem is the correct dimensions, as well as go through and do a turn around the bolt lugs to go into Op 3. So now in Op 3, this is our third and final operation of what we do here to make the AK bolts. In this op, we are going through and finishing the bolt lugs, the extractor pocket, the firing pin channel, as well as all the other critical dimensions. After this step is done, it will go through a quality check before going to get heat treat, surface finish, and final coating to be assembled into the AKs that we make at Palmetto State Armory. Hey guys, thanks for coming along on this tour of Toolcraft Inc, a JJE company where we showed you all the raw components that we're making in here to send down to Palmetto State Armory to continue spreading freedom. Like, subscribe, comment below. Let us know what you guys want to see next. We'll take you on a tour wherever you want. Thanks again. Stay tuned for next time.
Join us next week for episode 4, where we explore assembly, quality control, and shipping at Palmetto State Armory.
Behind me is our AR-15 upper assembly. So here we are, we're at our pistol operations division of Palmetto State Armory. All of our parts are made and assembled. They come over to our distribution center.